Good afternoon, viewers. Good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, the only Pan-African station that discusses Africa, that deals with Africa, what ails Africa, what kills Africa. This afternoon, the year of our Lord 2021, 18th of April, we shall be looking at various topics on the African continent in this show, Africa Showdown. This is the Political Command Center in London. Thank you very much for your patronage. Viewers, time and time again, we have stood by Africa. I will come to that later. We have a very able panel. Today, the country of Zimbabwe celebrates 41 years of independence. What way, Zimbabwe? Out of the 41 years, almost 21 years have been spent under a fight against sanctions. Today, we join our brothers in Zimbabwe to thank God for having left them alive. They suffer from sanctions, lack of medical facilities, not because they don't have the money, but because the big brother who commands the dollar in the world does not want even Zimbabwe to trade in its own minerals, its own gold, diamonds, uranium, oil, and whatever they have. But before we do that, I want the able panel of gentlemen. First, we are waiting for ladies to join. We have been joined by our guest from Harare direct. Mr. Saxon Vina will be with us. On the panel again in Nairobi is Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, yes, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama hits it as it is, teaches, educates, molds, changes behavior. If you have a bad behavior, come here, you will learn something. I think today he has something to tell us about this stupid behavior of some Kenyan sleeping at home and calling for a revolution, enjoying with his children in a sofa set while telling people on social media, come, 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 come. Welcome to the show, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masanga. I'm privileged this afternoon to be in this show. And all of you, as wherever you are listening from, it's a privilege. I hope by the end of this show, you will have been enhanced by what the panelists are going to discuss. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you. Our panelist from Zimbabwe, our guest tonight, this afternoon, is none other than a man himself, a scholar on Southern African affairs, Saxon Vima. Test the microphone, my brother.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Good afternoon, panelists, and good afternoon, viewers. Welcome you to the program where Zimbabwe is celebrating its 41st independence. And it's a milestone for Africa and a milestone for Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Douglas Kirimi from Umero. Thank you very much, Mr. Douglas Kirimi. The man who does not like to see a man called Mohammed Farmajo. the bulldozer of Meru. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. David Matsanga from the Political Command Center, and also to my co-panelists, and also to our viewers across the world. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you very much. Next is Javani Karanja, the guy from Nanyuki, the granary of Kenya, the plains, the savannah of Kenya, the mountainous place and the plains and the valleys of wheat, farms and farms growing quite a lot of cash crops, potatoes, whatever it is. Thank you very much, Javan Karanja. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Matsanga. Good afternoon to our viewers, wherever they are watching us from, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists. Thanks for having me on the show this good afternoon.
Thank you. Next is a man who does not fear rattling international waters by calling it as it is. I call him Mr. Comparative. Comparative analyst. My man, my young man. I'm trying to teach him to pick a PhD at a certain time. I hope he takes some notes on a serious note. Musa Abidi Haji Dido from Isiolo. Welcome to
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, fellow panelists. Thank you so much for having me. To all the viewers and my brother from Zimbabwe, thank you so much. I'm humbled to be on the panel.
Thank you very much. My brother, the murky waters of international relations pose a threat to the continent of Africa. Therefore, we need more of you, more of the Matsangas making noise. There is a full chapter I've seen in the Daily Nation, one of your papers online, where they say Kenya is hiring a public relations man for 64 million. Matsanga can make more noise. When it comes to Britain, I'll do it for free, Mr. President, for free. Cup of tea, bed and breakfast. I will connect you to the people who matter in 10 Downing Street without, oh my God, Africa, Africa, Africa. What's going on? For free. I will connect you to sir this one, that. It's very simple. These are the people some of us have lived with. And we have shared a pint. I don't know why African countries. What is going on in Africa? What is me as an African? Welcome to the show, Musa Abidi Haji Dido. I hope one day Kenya will give you a contract to speak about the waters of Indian Ocean. Next and the last man on the list as we wait for other participants to join, Professor Onyari is on the way, and Miriam Ogutu and another lady from Zimbabwe in Harare. I don't know what difficulties she has, but she's going to join. Fortunately, she's not on both sides with Saxon. Maybe she has seen Saxon and he has hidden. That they will hit each other here. For us, this television is for everybody. Any African who has views, come and talk to us. Next is Sean Daniel Wesonga, a man, an investigative nature, a man who keeps on promoting and going up and up and up. Welcome to the show. Sean Wesonga, an investigative journalist of Punchline Africa Television. Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, a very good afternoon, Dr. David Matsanga in London. A very good afternoon to my good friend Douglas Krimi Bundi, Javan Karanja, Dr. Nyanchama Joseph, my good friend and my younger brother Musa Galmadido, my good friend Sanctions in Harare, and our viewers here in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. It is my pleasure to join the show this afternoon, Dr. Masanga. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The show today is very straightforward, and I will begin very sincerely with the Kenyan issue, and let's not spend much time on the Kenyan issue. First, let me tell you the headlines. The first one in the Standard said, a big fight in Raila's party for a big fight of top allies in Raila's party. You remember this week I told you, am I a prophet or not a prophet again? Am I a prophet or not a prophet? I told you that there is someone Brutus in Raila's party. There is an NGO man called Orengo. And for me, I have no good words for Orengo ever until he apologizes to me and returns some of my money. I don't want to mention here, I'm not a grown-up man on Sunday. Jesus said on Sunday, try to humble yourself a bit, Nanchama. Even when you have some gigabyting you and producing eggs, try to hide. You know, jiggers are very special. They specialize during the rain, the hot season. When you have washed your legs very well and are smeared with soap, then the white eggs start coming out of your feet. An embarrassment. It's like a cockroach moving on a table when guests have come to see you. And also these guests come from high place. And you have also impressed them, you have a small place which is manageable. So for me today, I will not speak about that. But I told you people, the headline in the Standard says so, which I saw online. Another headline in the Sunday Nation is Project Moi. I don't know what it means. I believe Wesonga is in a position to tell us what Project Moi is. I am not a party to this project. I am just a man who wants to see a better legacy for His Excellency, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I support Uhuru. I support Uhuru. I support his legacy. I don't support projects. I support what Uhuru tells me in terms of a legacy. The legacy, what is going to leave behind, a state united. Politics of unity, politics of clubs, politics of intrigue. That's why I've combined curfew, politics of intrigue in Kenya, and the BBI will never. Now, those three topics, let's have a go. Let's have Douglas Kirimi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Masanga, and thank you for having me on the show. My perspective.
Yesterday, the Kenyans, let me open it up for you quickly, half a minute. Kenyans yesterday spent half of their night after violating curfew. Curfew in Kenya is 8 o'clock up to 4 a.m. I just want to ask one question. Even if you are working for money, what is more important is your health. COVID is everywhere. Why do you wait until it is 7 o'clock? Then you start running into a traffic, which you know there is always traffic. 2, yesterday was a Saturday. Most offices were not working. Where were people coming from at 8 o'clock? 3, even the police, they're not there to enforce law. It is. Has the police committed any crime? No. In fact, in other countries like Uganda, the people on Fika Road, police would have moved to take keys from them. By now, they would be struggling to remove those cars from the road. Police would be carrying them to the compound and dump them there the way they dump them. Some countries are very strict on curfew. Uhuru Kenyatta is not to blame. Why do you blame Uhuru Kenyatta? Do you have a grave that says, I will die with Uhuru Kenyatta? I want you to, from those points of view, were you one of those caught in the curfew? And if yes, also tell us what were you doing in town? Are you a citizen who obeys the law? Why do you break the law and then turn back and insult the president? Take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Masanga. And this issue of curfew and the middle class and the upper class in this country is something that we have comprehended and even spoken on this television. The curfew was meant for the poor people. The middle class have been exempted for so far wrong. If you have a car in Nairobi, if you can fuel your car and move from point A to point B, in Nairobi, they never observe the curfew. They drink on the road. They do everything that they can on the roads. Remember, the son of Waititu was caught on Nairobi roads in the morning with a vehicle, moving from one side to another, having spent the night drinking, and he was caught drinking, driving a vehicle where he is under influence of alcohol. And this is the people that these are the people that we are.
Who was
the son of Waititu, the former governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
There are so many cases of so many people, and I know this because we all live in these towns, we all live in these cities. The middle class do not observe curfew. They can travel at night, they can go anywhere they want. And this kind of impunity that is perpetuated by the middle class in this country is unacceptable. The other day, the MP for Gatundu South, where the president comes from, Moses Kuria, was caught at Avira Lodge in a club and a bar in a Kiamba constituency, having a political meeting in the middle of the night, and he was taken to court the next meeting morning, and he accepted that this was a mistake and he won't repeat the same again. So the middle class in this country, it's not an issue of looking for money. Yesterday was even a Saturday, and we know many businesses, including private businesses, by midday they close, and by 6 p.m. when it's about the curfew, and they have to close. And I like what the president did on his speech, the 14th COVID-19 address to the nation. He said this issue of coronavirus is a personal responsibility. You need to take it up to yourself and make sure that you protect yourself and your loved ones. What these people are not telling us, they are moving from one point to another. You find people in Nairobi in the morning, in the evening they're in Meru. They go all over the country and spreading coronavirus with reckless abandon, killing a lot of people in their wake. And when they get sick, the middle class and the upper class will go to other expensive hospitals that the poor people that they have been able to infect along their wake cannot be able to afford. Where Moses Kuria went to Karen Hospital, not many people can get admitted there. And all these things that we are seeing in this country, it is our own behavior that is very, 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 very sad to be able to see that these middle class people in our country cannot be able to observe simple rules like curfew. They have never been subjected to curfew, Dr. Masanga, and to everyone that has observed the curfew. It is a responsible person. Irresponsible people have been drinking even in forests, when we know very well in the 5 disease-infected counties, there has been a ban of sale of alcohol in clubs and also restaurants. But these people have been going even as far as drinking from forests. It is recklessness and also carelessness of the highest order for our people to continue doing what they do, endangering the lives of the poor people of Kenyans in this country. And I also thank the government for that, because today the cowards will not be on the road today. There will be no traffic snarls in this country tonight because these people are cowards. How would they hide in the name of their getting rich? Because they are looking for their daily bread. Poor people can no longer work when these 5 counties were closed. When this country was under lockdown, nobody could go to work. Why would these people come again and start talking about revolution, how they are going to change government, how they hate President Uhuru Kenyatta? When this curfew was put, nobody challenged it, even in court. But now that they have been caught in their bad behavior that they have been perpetuating for a year or for a year now, when COVID came into this country, the middle class has never been subjected to the curfew because they have money, they can be able to bribe their way in and out of the city, and also from the disease-infected area. So I'm calling out to every Kenyan, observe the curfew, save lives, save your life, because when you die, it is you that will have left. If you infect your friends and family with this COVID-19, it is not going to affect the country of Kenya. The country will move on, including when you die. When you die, the country will move on. We cannot cross our country and disband it because you have died of COVID-19. The government is doing everything that they can to protect you and protect your loved ones. If the government is doing that, please go out there and protect yourselves and protect others. You may not get sick of COVID-19, or you can get sick and also be able to take yourself to hospital, but please observe the guidelines from the Ministry of Health and also observe the curfew. Protect your loved ones, protect the poor people who cannot afford whatever you are affording, the kind of medical care cover that you are affording. And in this country, for us to be able to move forward, self-discipline is important because these middle class cannot be contained. How many poor people were crossed walking at night during that curfew, Dr. Masanga? How many people were caught? They said that they came from work and they were walking at that time when the curfew was being effected. It is only the middle class who have this behavior in this country of making noise, and they went even on social media saying they are causing a revolution. We are waiting to see that revolution of reckless people who are in dispute. You can only talk about it on social media with your wives at home, but this revolution does not happen on social media because you cannot effect a revolution in your own house with your children when you are eating mandas in your own house and threaten the government. You are going to disband this country and make sure that a revolution has taken place. Dr. Masanga, as I conclude, over 1 year we have been doing this curfew. Why have you not been complaining? You need to observe this curfew time. I was not there last night. By 8 p.m., I'm always in my house and doing something else. This issue of coronavirus is very dangerous. We need to be able to observe that and save lives. Thank you, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much. This is coronavirus. It's very serious. It's a very dangerous disease, invisible, a monster. Let people wash hands, sanitize, keep away, keep a distance, wear masks where possible when you're in public. Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. My brother, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama.
Thank you, Dr.
What type of characters do we have in Africa?
We have very interesting characters. Thank you, Dr. Masanga, and my fellow panelists, and the guest we have this afternoon from Zimbabwe. Welcome, sir. First of all, I want to tell my fellow Kenyans that the president, the oath of office he took, imposes upon him the duty of preserving the nation in every indispensable means. He has a duty to protect the lives of the Kenyan people. And the coronavirus pandemic has threatened the lives of the Kenyan people. And when he imposes the curfew, he means well for everyone. Unfortunately, Dr. Masanga, there are people, in fact, let me say this. These people so-called the middle class, they suffer from a syndrome of 1, they feel they are very educated. 2, they think they are of class. 3, they think they have good money, and nobody should threaten them with the imposition of curfews. In fact, let me tell you something interesting. I saw one guy who had a very big car and he was drunk. He said, he told a policeman that the president said that we stay at home in the house. What happens now is that I have a mobile house. I am in my house. What problem have I caused? Why are you preventing my house from being mobile? Imagine he was arguing that he has not committed an offense. He was telling the world that his car is a mobile house. Can you imagine, Dr. Masanga, the level of arrogancy? That is the level where the middle class in Kenya particularly have reached. They think that the curfew is for the people who have no money, those who are struggling to make ends meet. Others argue that the curfew is threatening their livelihood. Which is most important, livelihood or life? They need to ask themselves the question. You cannot focus on livelihood when the life is threatened. What I want to advise them, let them abide by the president's order, and by 8 o'clock, they should be in their houses to observe the protocols in relation to health and put aside the arrogancy they are exhibiting when they meet the policemen. They are even shameless. They don't show any sign of humility. I submit, Dr. Masanga.
Shameless, no sign of humility, bravado, egoism, all those words. They even now get out and now look for service vehicles. Service vehicles like ambulance, they take pictures and to show, justify the wrongs they have done. Let me come to our guests before I come to our panelists. Our guest from Zimbabwe. Tell us, when does your curfew start and when does your curfew end? How do people in Zimbabwe respond to your curfew?
Yeah, the curfew starts from 5 a.m. and ends at around, in the morning from 5 a.m. to, and it started midnight around 10 p.m. We also have got the same problem with the middle class. The middle class, they think they are superior than any other classes. And like what Dr. Nyanchamba said, they think they're egotists. But here, I think, our system, they don't tolerate that kind of nonsense. They deal with you ruthlessly. Because I know they say we have to protect lives. We've been victims of this COVID-19. But I'm saying the problem we have in Africa is our middle class. They are more Eurocentric. They think they take this issue of rights through the roof. They don't evaluate themselves. They think they are superior than any other race, and they ignore the government. It's a problem that we also are facing at this end. But our laws, we normally come up with the statutory instruments where if you go to court, you won't win the case. So I think the problem of the middle class ignoring the curfews is prevalent in most third world countries in Africa, in actual fact. And because most of these people, they think they know they're learned, but they don't know that the purpose of the curfews is to protect themselves. I submit.
Thank you very much, a middle class again. Let me ask one question to the panel, and if you come back, you can even answer it at any time when your second round comes. Is there a middle class in Africa, or we have a pseudo middle class? Honestly, me, I'm a very controversial lecturer. Is there a middle class in Africa, or we have a pseudo middle class? Pseudo. We have a class in Africa that steals from the poor and that steals from the government. Entrepreneurs, people who sell documents. That's not a middle class. Nyachama, you are an experienced student in this field. Is that a middle class? It's a pseudo class of corrupt people who steal from the poor, like a Ruto. He steals from the poor, steals from the government, stands in the middle, imports Russian medicine, vaccine, tells people don't take that. I can afford 7,000, but in the morning he tells them, you are mwanamboga. Mwanamboga. Mboga means the greens. The greens that you put in water and salt and we use for salsa in Zimbabwe. Mwanamboga, don't worry. Do we have a middle class in Africa? Show me one middle class which has not stolen. I'm controversial. So when you come to my lectures like in London, when I go for visiting lecture as a visiting guest from Chatham House, I leave people when their ribs are broken. You know, there is no middle class in Africa. Tuambiane ukweli. Where is the middle class? A middle class of thieves. Thieves. There is a middle class in the third world, in the first world. People who can leave a seat on a bus for an elderly woman. People who can leave a seat on the bus for a pregnant woman. People who don't yell at the government every time, even when they know the price of oil is rising everywhere. Then you say our government is very bad. Yet, when you tune on CNN, they tell you the price of oil in Uganda, the price of oil in Zimbabwe has risen. Also catching the same. In Kenya, we don't have. I don't think there is a middle class. Karanja, let me ask you. Since you are neighbors with Isiolo, Isiolo will summarize it for us. Is there a middle class in Africa? Is there a middle class, Karanja? Musa, can you take that question? Do we have a middle class in Kenya, in Africa, in Uganda? Is there a middle class?
Yeah, I'm back. This technology sometimes is, yes, I'm back.
Go ahead. Is there a middle class? Dr. Nanchama, Douglas Kirimi, Saxon, they all say there's a middle class. To me, Matanga, I don't think there's a middle class. We have a middle thieving class. We have a class that steals. In Aiba, they steal, actually they robbery. They tell us they are going for backup benchmarking. Few days ago, Museveni was telling his MPs that he's introducing the law in Parliament of Uganda to stop this idea of benchmarking. MPs living in a contingent of about 30, that they are going to Dubai, selecting amongst themselves women MPs to come along who act as sometimes concubines, that they are going to benchmark. Museveni said no, in the next parliament, benchmarking will be done in Uganda. And it will not go anywhere, because he says everything in Uganda, there is a benchmark. You can go to one place to the other and a benchmark. Why do you fly to Dubai and carry the dollar? So is there a middle class?
Thank you very much, Dr. David Matsanga. And I'll go back to isolate the issue that happened yesterday along Thika Road. You know, this class of people, and it is very interesting, and they should understand that the curfew didn't stand yesterday. Therefore, these people are not coming from work. They were coming from some joints where they were having fun. And maybe they forgot that we had the curfew at 8 p.m. That is why they were caught in that drama. And I thank our police for rising up to the occasion and ensuring that these people are locked up so that they can get some senses in their mind that is good to observe the government protocols. Because the curfews are not unique in Kenya, it's something that is global. It's cutting across every nation. So every government is working hard to ensure that they save their people from this dangerous monster called coronavirus. Therefore, it is not about President Uhuru Kenyatta. It's about Kenyans who don't want to follow the law. Kenyans who are entitled to think that they are more superior than others. And that is why they feel like when they're calling for this revolution that they're doing in their mansions, they feel like the poor Kenyans need to come and support them. The hoi polloi of this country need to come and support them. They need to understand that Kenyans, we have different problems, different challenges at individual level. To them, the curfew is a problem, but to other Kenyans, getting something to eat matters to them the most. Therefore, they need to deal with their problems without dragging the common Wanjikus in the matrix. They need to call for revolution without bringing the issue of the commoners in the agenda. Because these people, you'll see them in the highways. They go around carrying very big bags of household waste. They go throwing away in the highway. Therefore, this middle class, the purported middle class, the pseudo middle class, these are people who are bad-mannered. These are people who misbehave. These are people who think that they can violate the law when they feel it's good, it will favor them. These are people who the government needs to deal with. And to some extent, these people, they don't even wake up to vote. They just make noise in social media, and that is aids them because they make deals that are not good deals. They engage in other forms of corruption-related scandals. That is why they feel like they are entitled to do whatever they feel like is good to them without observing the government laws. We have the laws in this country to be followed by everyone. Therefore, I think these people called middle class, these are a group of people who do chores, malicious business, are coming up to say that the government is there to curtail their businesses and so on. And the fact remains that yesterday was not a working day. Therefore, these people are coming out, and these people, they pretend they have big money, they have good money. And to some of them, they live by these big loans from Equity and the other circles. Therefore, these people are also suffering from kind of emotional distress. That is why they go around causing trouble to everything that they feel is part and parcel of their problems. Therefore, on conclusion, Dr. David Masanga, we have no genuine middle class. What we have is a group of corrupt individuals who don't go up to vote, who don't care who becomes the leader, and when they go to vote, they vote the most corrupt leaders so that they can continue having a conducive environment for their businesses and their malicious business to thrive. Therefore, these are a group of people who needs to be dealt with. And if as a genuine middle class, they need to be championing for a good governance. They need to be championing for the fight against corruption. They need to be championing for the unity of this country. But what they are championing is their own interest, an interest that to some extent is corrupt interest. Therefore, corruption and the curfew needs to be followed. The curfew hours need to be followed by everyone, regardless of your social status, because this disease does not select whether you are middle class, whether you are lower class, whether you are upper class. These are diseases that cuts across, and it's killing everybody. It's killing ministers, it's killing presidents. Therefore, nobody is being spared. And when the government puts these measures in place, is to ensure that all Kenyans are safe, regardless of where you come from, regardless of where you stay. Therefore, these people are being ignorant, and they need to understand that the constitution and the laws of a country need to be adhered to the letter by everyone and by all means. Thank you.
I would request, yes, I would request that the next speakers, you combine even talk about BBI, take little time, because our guest wants to get off. Then we come back and do our house. We want to speak right from Harare and tell us what is the climate, the weather, the situation, the conditions. 41 years passed. So we have now here, let me go to Isiolo. Do you have a middle class in Isiolo? A pseudo. Do you read? You're a student of political science yourself.
Wow, Daktari, I would like to first of all refer these stupid Kenyans to read this book by Robert Savage. It's called Peter Trotsky. Peter Trotsky was a Russian Jew who tried to inspire revolution in Russia before Vladimir Lenin came. I tell Kenyans, revolution has never been started by capitalists. Ernesto Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Vladimir Lenin, Lee Kuan Yew, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Samora Machel, Robert Mugabe. All of them, they were not capitalists.
And the nation, Yoweri Museveni.
Yes, Yoweri Museveni.
Honestly, I am, you know me, I
agree. I forgot.
Yoweri Museveni, in 1980, when we left Tanzania, he was as poor as a church mouse, you know, very poor. And to be very honest, he was not corrupt. Museveni could not take even tea with us in the Nile Martians. We were all in the UNLF governing council. I was in the political and the diplomatic commission. We've been Asasira, Daniel Dadenabutere, Yashi Tandon, Omonyo Jok. You know, those are my Rugumayo. We were the diplomatic mission, recruiting intelligence officers, recruiting officers to go to embassies. But President Museveni, and I give him a credit on this, he was not corrupt. He wasn't. And truly what you have said, revolutions, when they closed Mugabe's account, when the British closed Mugabe's account, I went to collect Mugabe's bank accounts. I took them to Harare, and I'm here living in. If I tell you the amount of money I found there, it's not even worth my money for my ground rate for my house. Have I told you now? It's not worth the money for the ground rates for my house in Croydon, in Surrey, where I live, because that's the highest taxed borough in the United Kingdom. If you live there and then you tell somebody you live in Croydon, he will run away very fast. Even he jump out of the train and fall in the train, in a car, because the money is very expensive to pay ground rate. Mugabe had only £6,000. The president,
yes,
give him a credit, he is gone, but he was not corrupt.
Yes, Daktari. So
I agree with you.
So, Daktari, I always say that I've studied revolutionaries and I've studied the latest, Ernesto Che Guevara, the very man who gave Fidel Castro the leadership. So, when a Kenyan, a thief, someone who doesn't understand politics, and let me tell our artists, for heaven's sake, music and politics have never rhymed. So when you are busy on social media telling people, we need revolution, revolution can never be staged by a man whose stomach is full. Revolution cannot be staged by someone even whom he is very afraid to handle a toy gun. For heaven's sake, these issues of, them telling us, all these of barrage of activities should stop. Coming to the curfew issue, as far as this is concerned, is that we don't have middle class. The true middle class we've ever had, studied in political history by Max Weber, he said these are people called egalitarians. A bit of a power shock. Yes, Daktari. So these are people who are called egalitarians. These are people who are truly working for the community. They believe in equal rights. So when yesterday I saw some Kenyans, barraging and saying, here and there we are suffering, no one is suffering, Daktari. It's all about discipline and following the right thing at the right time. And for heaven's sake, the other day, Daktari, I talked about traffics in our road. Uhuru Kenyatta is building an expressway from Westland to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And I even said that express is going to fail because of one thing. People are so egocentric. Dr. Nyantama has put it, that people are not appreciating public transport. Everyone wants to show off their crocodile-looking cars. They call VITs, and I don't know, some scooters on the road. And when traffics are caused, you blame the government. Why do you blame the government when you are told you can use the public transport, you can use SGR, you can use railways, you can use these means, you can be a pedestrian, but you are busy barraging these scooters and fuel guzzlers on the road. So for my own information, Daktari, I always believe that what Kenyans have done yesterday was a stupid stuff. And I want to tell them finally, we've never had a revolution caused by a Twitter or a social media. It has never happened. It has never happened, and it will never happen. People are fighting. I've spoken about guerrilla warfare, Daktari. These are people who have been going days without food. That is what we speak about revolution. So we don't have a middle class in Africa. We have some people who are sleeping with underage girls. We have some middle class who are busy on drugs, some middle class who are busy calling themselves lesbians, and you call yourself a middle class here? Nonsense. How can you call a revolution, Daktari, and you believe that there is a woman cannot be married, you can marry a fellow man, and you barrage yourself with some sense of stupidity along the road saying revolution? I always say, Daktari, and forgive me, by the way, all the panelists here, there was a very controversial author who said online that Bantus can never cause a revolution. He said that. You expect a revolution in a Bantu country? Never. You are just dreaming. It can never happen. He said, in response to what is happening with these Semites and these Arabs, he said, Tunisians, the Libyans could not stand the stupid of what was happening. They had to reincarnate something. Hosni Mubarak left. The other day we saw in Ethiopia, Meles are now being kicked out. So he said, for heaven's sake, a corrupt man cannot drive a revolution. And what we need now is not a physical revolution. We need a mental revolution. Until a normal Kenyan understands his role, a patriotic role, a responsible citizenship role, that is the only time we can speak about this thing, Daktari. And to finalize, how I wish even yesterday, those vehicles could have been impounded and put in a police station. What are they shouting for? Daktari, I live along Thika Road. I was in my room by 6:50. I'm fasting, and to break my Ramadan, I bought my food as early as possible and left, only for me to see along the road people shouting. And I told one of my neighbors, why are they shouting? If they could have been walking, they could have left their cars and walked. Why are they shouting that police is really impounding their vehicles? So it's all about personal responsibility, Dr. I submit.
Yes, thank you very much, Musa Abidi. Personal responsibility. You don't have a grave with another person. The United Nations Secretary General Guterres, Antonio Guterres, today in one of the papers of Kenya, I saw online one quote. He said, our world has reached a tragic milestone. 3 million lives lost of COVID-19. In their memory, we must continue pushing forward to ensure that everyone, everywhere can access urgently needed vaccine and the treatment. Only together, in solidarity, will we overcome the pandemic. Here in Kenya, we are not supporting our president. Here in Uganda, we flout the regulations. In Zimbabwe, the middle class does the same. The pseudo, I don't know. Why do you call it middle class, Jamen? Middle class is a very organized word.
Dr. Masanga, when you read
Wesonga take it from there. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Masanga. And of course, I'll start by addressing the misconstrued notion of a middle class existence in Africa. And when you read the book of Karl Marx, the father of capitalism, he only categorizes the social classes into two: the bourgeois, who are the owners of the capital, and the proletariat, which is the owners of the labor. And there is not something that is
They don't
referred
forget
to.
that there is also what they call lumpen proletariats.
Yes, yes. Who are the owners of, actually,
The rollers, the one Ruto is using for wheelbarrow.
yes, actually, those are the owners of the labor. Yes, these other group who are calling themselves middle class are actually a group of individuals who are living in a bubble, who are living in some kind of utopia, just imagining themselves that they have made it in life because they bought a car here and there, a plot here and there, and now they want to live a life of self-gratification and so much deep into egocentrism. So, Dr. Masanga, to just finalize my take, I believe my panelists, my fellow panelists have really exhausted the field of opinion. So I'll just add the icing to the cake by saying that laws are there to protect each and every one of us from the pandemic. And there's no way we can circumvent around the law. The laws have to be obeyed so that we are able to beat the pandemic. You've just read a statement by the UN Secretary General Guterres that we need each and everyone on board to be able to overcome this pandemic. Therefore, Kenyans should be ready to obey the law. What is so difficult with someone just planning his day so well so that by 8 sharp, you're already in your house and you avoid yourself the inconvenience of falling into trouble with the police? We have to understand that we have these laws. The laws are meant by the supreme governing body, which is the government, and the laws have to be obeyed. And that is why in our constitution, every right has a responsibility. And as a patriotic citizen, you have to ensure that you accomplish the responsibilities that you are given by the government so that you can claim the protection that comes with your right. So therefore, there is no need of complaining that the government has impounded the cars. They have erected roadblocks all over when you are in the line of breaking the same law that should be protecting your life and the life of the millions of Kenyans who are out there. I rest my case, Dr. Masanga. There is nothing like a revolution which is going to happen. A revolution has never been started by the much misconstrued middle class anywhere in the world. So to me, that's a fallacy. Let everyone obey the law. Let us obey the curfew rules. Let us observe the health measures that have been given by the Ministry of Health. And together we shall be able to come out strong out of this pandemic. I submit.
Thank you very much. Before we leave this topic, I want to bring in Professor Champlain, Professor Gerard Onyari. Professor Gerard Onyari, good afternoon, sir, from wherever you are in Kenya, in East Africa, the great land. You seem to be on the road. Professor, good afternoon. Okay, thank you very much. Viewers, we have topics, and we have several topics. One of the topics that we have, since this is Africa Showdown, is the question of Zimbabwe. Today, Zimbabwe is 41 years old. It got independence. Yes, Professor, you have come in?
Yes, I was trying to say that I have keenly followed the discussion from my fellow panelists. And I have to say that every strata of the society, be it the lower class, the middle class, and the upper class, have got a role to play for the good of the society. And if I may use the Kenyan case, is that the middle class have absconded their duty. They have absconded their duty when it comes for them to be counted, to bring change in the society. They seem to ignore, they seem to have a no don't care attitude. But in areas, middle class, they are rightfully, in a way, informed. They know what is doing. If they make their position and their role significantly, Dr. Masanga, you will have a change. But in that case, we don't see it here in Kenya. You were also alluding to the social media. The strength and the power of the social media you don't ignore. And if you look at Arab uprisings in North Africa, it is the work of the social media. The social media these days, and we have discussed here before, that the media sets the agenda. So these days, even the social media, they are the first one to give out the information, even before the mainstream media gives out the information. So the social media, I will try to deal with my fellow panelists that you don't ignore it. It can damage you. You wake up one morning in your email, if they want to launch a campaign, I have participated in one, until you, Dr. Masanga, you give up and you give the demands of our social media. So you must be very careful when it comes to social media. They even give information which you don't even want to know. Sometimes you see in places like Kenya, when we have got terrorist acts, it is the social media, Dr. Masanga, who gives very, very, very bad pictures, which you don't even see in developed countries. So the media, we should find a middle ground, otherwise they will damage you. And on BBI, you also said that we say something about BBI. I'm not a happy man because some members of parliament who don't want to see the BBI move forward, they want to open the BBI report. And the moment they will do that one, Dr. Masanga, it will not be the document which Kenyans gave their signatures to, which has been passed by the counter assembly. And Dr. Masanga, we have said here that those who are against the BBI, especially the deputy president, is manifesting himself in several forms. And that's one area I want to call Bapa, the prime minister, that he should be able to rein the likes of Orengo. Orengo does not have a good agenda. I can see George Soros is at work. And on the pandemic, Dr. Masanga, you have pronounced yourself here. And the word the Secretary General for United Nations has said, it has got every cause to worry, Dr. Masanga. The numbers are increasing. And this is not the time for us to choke with the pandemic. This pandemic, Dr. Masanga, if we are not very careful, it is going to wipe us. And as you have alluded before, it is high time we support the president and we support the government. Otherwise, we Dr. Masanga, it is a disaster.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much, Chaplain Professor Gerard Onyari. You have said Dr. Masanga is a disaster if we don't listen to the authorities anywhere in Africa. I will take you on tomorrow when we are on. We want to find out whether there is a middle class, surely. or there is a thinking class. Where is the middle class? I don't see it. Everybody you find in the town is looking for a tender. He has documents. I want to supply this.
That is why. That's why, Dr. Masanga, I had said in this forum, Africa as a continent, we have produced charismatic leaders without character.
Exactly. That's it.
Gifted leaders without conviction. You can see them. They speak good English. You saw them how they were speaking. Very gifted. But they are convicted to nothing. Powerful leaders without principles. People are never, you can see even our politicians. In fact, intellectual leaders without morality. Visionary leaders without values.
Yes.
Spiritual leaders without conscience. Oh, what a continent. What a continent. Whatever now you put yourself as middle class, what are the factors? What?
No, let me ask you one question. Doc, as we leave this subject, because time is running against us, the middle class stands on who?
That is the question I was asking. What determines What are the factors for being a middle class? It's not
Yes.
it's not about education only or money.
Yes.
When you fail on a responsibility where I come from, especially on a matter of war, women will snatch your spear and say they kick you out and they take up the responsibility.
Okay.
So middle class for what?
And
you know,
for
people
who?
think, and for who? And then you are advancing a narrative that you are building a uniform society with no discrimination. Where do even classes come from? It is even offensive, by the way, as per the Constitution, to start talking that I belong to this class. We want to build a uniform society where all people enjoy equal rights and opportunities for the sake of our future generation. And that is the Africa we need to focus on to build. This is mediocre. Look at Dr. Masanga, look at Dubai. The year 70s, it was just a desert with a few fun buildings. Look at it today. Look at it today. That is every leader of class wanted to go to Dubai. It is the best in hotels, the best in buildings.
Except me.
Are you getting the point? Look at it.
I've got the point. I don't go to Dubai because I consider Dubai River Road.
You see? Why?
Yeah,
Why did it jump from a desert to where it is? It is people realize that we need to create a new narrative. I want to appeal to my fellow African, whether you are an intellectual, please let us put something sensible in our canvas. In fact, I define intellectual is a person who's constantly changing its geographical location in search of a new conceptual space. One who has tremendous desire to know, to find, and reveal the truth. Let us reveal the truth about Africa and transform it for posterity. Let not our ego destroy the future of our children. Please, I'm appealing to the so-called middle class. Instead of making noise, causing revolution, these are cowards. A coward will never cause a revolution. And when you see people speak, cry a lot, those are cowards. Brave people like Jesus Christ, they were silent when they were on the cross. By the way, if you want to know someone is a coward, see how he makes noise. I submit, Doctor.
Thank you very much, viewers. Although I don't know whether you are going to see me, some technicality has happened, but it is okay. Are you all seeing me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's now change to Kenya. Remove from Kenya to Africa. Gosh. Wait. like
You're okay now?
yeah, it looks like someone is trying to tap into our, is sending me a signal of VPN. I don't use VPN. You know the enemies of Africa. They want to listen. Okay. The position now, we turn to one of the topics of Africa, and that topic is very, very clear. We had 4 topics on Africa. 1, Zimbabwe, 41 years of independence. Which way forward? What can we do? How can we change the sanction regime of Americans against Zimbabwe? 2, Somalia national community do. Today, I believe me or not, I have a solution. And it looks like my solution is going to be very good and interesting. Kirimi, you will like me for that. 3, Nigeria. Is the state in Nigeria collapsing? Is there Nigeria anymore? Do we have Nigeria anymore? How can all people in the northern part of Nigeria run away? Is there a government in Nigeria, Jamen? Let's get our guest right from Harare. Good afternoon, Mr. Saxon Vina from Harare.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Good afternoon, panelists. We are celebrating 41 years of independence, and it was never an easy stroll. I think you are aware that after we got our independence on the 18th of April 1980, and by the 2000 we had we embarked on a new form of independence, because independence is political, economic, socially, and even mental. We embarked on the economic independence, which actually egged the West. And I think that they started talking about human rights, which is hypocritical, as Human Records record is better than nation support. If you look at Israel, you look at Egypt, and you look at Saudi Arabia, and other nations supported by even America itself, it has got an appalling human rights record. It has killed nearly 25 million people since 1945 through the bombings. And they started accusing Zimbabwe of violating human rights. The only rights, they started saying you took all the land. The land is the reason why independence was fought. And they knew that all the resources of the world are from the land. There's a term that says it's either mined or farmed. And the moment we took the land, we actually put the rug under the colonialists, and to make our economy scream. Our economy was more dependent on the Western, because we were British funded, and we implemented the economic adjustment program, which had rendered our economy weaker. And the results were seen. The economy screamed as the white capital flee from Zimbabwe, and they blocked our lines of credit. You couldn't buy, even right now, you cannot send any amount more than 5,000 United States dollars to Zimbabwe without having challenges. As OFAC restricts the movement of capital to Zim. So the 41 years has been tough, but we are soldiering on. Things are moving in the right direction. Infrastructure development is taking place. We used to have power challenges since 2018, but of late, the problem has been rectified, which are the gains of the Second Republic. Already roads are they've declared a state of disaster to repair all the roads, as transport is a vital cog in moving the economy. Our challenge has been people, our local people, we have been paid by the former colonial masters to disrupt any government programs. Even in the vaccination that we've had conspiracy theorists saying all sorts of nonsense And the idea of vaccine was so that we free the economy, so that people get back to work. Most of our people now believe in owning the means of production, which is vital. I mean, our independence, we celebrate it in the sense that we are now having what you call economic independence, which most African nations lack. Very few people can own. It's rare to see African owning mines in other nations, but in our case, you need to have $10 to buy a prospectus license. You can own 10 hectares of a gold claim or 25 hectares of a base metal, which is rare, which is one thing that we need to celebrate. And of late, our people realize that the trajectory that was taken of taking the land was necessary as all the means of production and as all the resources are from the land. We are making it, and I think we thank Africa, the likes of Dr. Matsanga and other Pan-Africanists who have stood with Zimbabwe. We have been calling for the lifting of the sanctions, as these sanctions